Marina Hale never cared what people thought of her until the whispers got loud enough to drown out her own heartbeat. Gold digger, opportunist, climber. She'd heard them all even before she stepped into the carved marble lobby of the Argentum Hotel, the most expensive property in the city and the crown jewel of the Grayson Empire. Marina wasn't here for extravagance. She wasn't here for luxury. She wasn't even here for a man. She was here because she had no other choice. Her grandmother's medical bills were growing. Her small apartment was barely livable, and job after job had slipped through her fingers like water. So when she got the offer to work as a temporary concierge assistant, despite having no hospitality background, she knew it was a lifeline she couldn't ignore. She tucked a strand of dark hair behind her ear and straightened her borrowed blazer before stepping inside. The moment she walked in, the stares began. Some curious, some indifferent, some razor sharp. But the worst came from a group of wealthy socialites lounging near the bar, their designer outfits shimmering like armor. "That's her," one whispered loudly enough for Marina to hear. "The girl who applied for the job because she wants to catch a rich man." "Please," another scoffed. "Look at her. She probably came here hoping to bag one of the Grayson heirs." Marina clenched her jaw. Their words weren't new, but they still stung like walking barefoot over shards of glass she'd stepped on 100 times before. She kept walking, head high, face neutral, even if her heart was trembling. At the front desk, a supervisor with stiff posture and colder eyes greeted her. "You're Marina Hale," she said flatly. "Yes, ma'am." "You'll shadow our senior concierge today. Do not speak to guests unless spoken to. And remember, discretion and obedience are key." Obedience. It was never her strong suit, but she forced a nod. The day unfolded in a blur of rushing carts, frantic phone calls, misplaced room keys, and staff members who acted like she didn't exist. She tried her best smiling when she was supposed to, apologizing for things she didn't do, working faster than her body wanted to. But around midday, disaster struck. A high-profile charity gala was being held in the ballroom. The entire hotel buzzed with energy and wealth. Marina wasn't supposed to go near that area, but when a flustered server asked her to deliver a tray of guest lists to the event manager, she didn't hesitate. She pushed open the double doors and froze. The ballroom sparkled, dripping with chandeliers and silver linens. Guests in glittering gowns and black tuxedos filled the room like a page torn from a billionaire's magazine. And right at the center of it all stood a man she recognized immediately. Dorian Grayson, billionaire heir, CEO, the man who owned the very building she was standing in. He was taller than he looked in Italiam. Photos, his shoulders broad, beneath a tailored charcoal suit. His hair raven black and slightly tousled, contrasted sharply with his piercing, quiet eyes, the color of smoke on a winter night. Eyes that suddenly lifted and locked onto her. Marina's breath stopped. It wasn't a casual glance, not curiosity, not annoyance. It was recognition, as if he'd been waiting to see her. She swallowed hard and forced herself forward, clutching the binder of guest lists. But just as she approached the event manager, one of the socialites from earlier stepped into her path. Well, she sneered. "Looks like the gold digger found her way into the party." Marina's chest tightened. "I'm working." "Oh, sure," the woman snorted. "Working the room." A few nearby guests turned, whispering. Heat crawled up Marina's neck, but she kept her head lowered. Just drop off the binder. Just walk away. But before she could, another voice sliced cleanly through the air. That's enough. Every head turned. Dorian Grayson stood only a few feet away, his expression unreadable, but his voice carrying a quiet authority that made the entire table fall silent. The socialite stiffened. "Mr. Grayson, I didn't mean—" "You meant exactly what you said," he replied coldly, "which only proves you have no idea who you're speaking to." Marina blinked, confused. Why was he defending her? The socialite hesitated. "She doesn't belong here." Dorian stepped closer slowly, deliberately his presence pulling Marina's world tight around her. "She belongs more than you do," he said, his gaze never leaving Marina's face. Her heart thundered painfully. He turned to her, lowering his voice to something only she could hear. "Come with me." Confused, breathless, and trembling, she followed him out of the ballroom, down a long, private hallway, into an office suite she'd never seen before. He closed the door behind them. Then he turned to her, no longer the calm billionaire everyone adored, but something fiercer, something raw. "Marina," he said softly, like her name was a memory he'd been carrying for years. She had no idea how he knew her, how he recognized her, why he looked at her like she was more than a stranger. But she was about to find out. Because Dorian Grayson wasn't just defending her from gossip. He was hiding a truth that would turn every whisper, every insult, every judgment upside down. A truth that began with 4 words. "This hotel is yours." Marina stared at him, her heartbeat a frantic, uneven drum. She must have misheard him. She had to have misheard him. "My what?" she whispered. Dorian stepped closer, his expression softer than anything she expected from a man with his reputation. "This hotel, Argentum, the flagship property, it's yours." Her breath shattered. "Dorian, that's impossible. I am nobody." His eyes warmed at the word. "You're not nobody, you never were." She shook her head, backing up a step. "I don't understand. I don't even know you." "Not in this life," he murmured. "But you knew my grandfather very well." Marina froze. Her grandmother had spoken of only 2 men from her past, Marina's late husband and the mysterious friend she'd met while working at a boarding house decades ago. Dorian watched her expression, reading every flicker of realization. Your grandmother wasn't just a friend to him. She was the woman he trusted with everything he built before he became a Grayson. Marina's throat tightened. No, she worked as a housekeeper. She never owned. "She didn't take credit," Dorian interrupted gently. "She didn't want it. When my grandfather passed, he left her the majority share of this property. She kept it hidden to protect you. To protect your family from people who would have exploited it." The room tilted. Her grandmother had been wealthy, powerful, a silent partner in one of the city's most iconic properties, and she told no one. Emotion burned behind Marina's eyes. Why didn't anyone say anything? Why didn't she tell me? Because she knew what this world does to women like you, Dorian said softly. Women who come from nothing. Women who don't look like they belong among marble floors and glass ceilings. Gold digger, climber, opportunist. All the words people had thrown at her, and she had been the owner all along. Marina pressed a trembling hand to her mouth. "Why are you telling me this now? Why you?" Dorian's jaw flexed, something vulnerable slipping through his polished exterior. "Because the board has started digging into your background. They heard the gossip. They think you're targeting me. They don't know you're my equal, more than my equal." Her heart stuttered. I'm not targeting you. I know. His voice dropped lower. That's why I had to tell you first before they tried to spin your story into something ugly. Her pulse quickened. And what is my story? He stepped closer than before, until his presence wrapped around her like a warm, dangerous promise. You're the rightful majority owner of this hotel, he said. You have decision-making power, authority. His eyes deepened. And whether I like it or not, you have a claim to the entire Grayson legacy my grandfather meant for you to inherit. Marina's breath caught. And you, what does this mean for you? He exhaled slowly. It means, he said, voice barely above a whisper, the woman the world calls a gold digger is the one who could dismantle everything I am with a single signature. Her chest tightened. I would never, I know, he said. That's why they're terrified. She stared up at him, her pulse fluttering with fear and something far more dangerous. And you, she whispered. Are you terrified of me too? Dorian's gaze softened, warmed, deepened until everything in the room felt charged. No, he said, not terrified. He lifted a hand, brushing her cheek with the back of his fingers, slow, reverent, like she was something precious. But I am, he whispered, terrified of how much I already care. Her breath fractured, because underneath the revelation, the power, the inheritance, there it was, the truth neither of them could hide anymore. She wasn't the gold digger, she was the woman who owned it all, and the billionaire who defended her was already falling.